for being here tonight. So this is probably our second kind of in-person event that we've helped to plan, and we're just so excited to see all of you tonight. So we have just a couple of housekeeping things, and then we'll get on with the order of the evening. For those of you who are new to our work, Healthy Lamoille Valley is a coalition of individuals and organizations working together collaboratively to prevent and reduce youth substance misuse. We are one of the many programs of the Lamoille Family Center, and as a coalition, we focus on strategies that prevent and delay use for adolescents as long as possible. We know that when we can help youth to not use, if they wait until after age 18 or even better 21, that they're less likely to struggle later in life. And so that's why we do this work, because their brain is still developing. And so this is really important work. And we're really excited to celebrate our Prevention Honorees tonight. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. October is Youth Substance Misuse Prevention Month. It's a time where we pause and celebrate many successes and honor those who have helped to make them all possible. Coalition is truly about each of us rolling up our sleeves to make a difference in our orbit. And no two orbits are exactly alike, and that's why it's so important to have so many different people here. Another beautiful thing about Coalition is that there are no age restrictions. No matter how young or old you are, you can help create a healthier community. This has been one of the many joys of seeing the Live Your Why and TimeWise programs in action, and tonight we celebrate those and all of you. So also thank you to GMA TV for being here. They were one of last year's Prevention Honorees, and so often, it helps to spread our work. So thank you to them for being here tonight. As to the order of the evening, we're going to mix it up a bit. We're going to honor some of our Prevention All-Stars throughout the evening. And then Dr. Linda Caldwell is going to share the keynote partway through. And then we'll do a few more awards. We do recognize that some of our honorees aren't able to be here tonight in person. That's one of the things of Coalition. We're all busy people, and so we thank you for making the time, but we also recognize that some have community meetings and such. And so some of you will need to leave early, and some of you may skip in later, and that's a-okay. So we would also be remiss if we didn't take a couple minutes or a quick minute to thank our funding partners who provide support to make the many projects possible. Tonight we actually have with us John Roessner from the Roessner Family Foundation. He just came in, and the Roessner Foundation has been pivotal in helping to support the TimeWise program and also the early Live Your Why program. Also, the Live Your Why has been supported through the VAIL Epic Promise and the Vermont Children's Trust Fund. And specifically tonight, we're able to have Linda's keynote address thanks to the VAIL funding in combination with our drug-free communities funding. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge our partnership with the Department of Health. Both our tobacco control program and the Division of Substance Use program support our work at a foundational level. And we have James with us tonight from the Department of Health, so thank you for being here as well. I'm pleased to share that in the last 6 weeks, we're actually both awarded both the VAPE grant, so VAPE prevention grant, and a bridge funding grant. So we are now fully funded, which is an amazing thing as a nonprofit to be fully funded. So additionally, I'd like to thank the Lamoille Family Center Board and our HLV steering team. Both are vital in supporting our work. We are looking to grow our steering team, so if you have any interest, let's connect. So thank you so much. We also have some Lamoille Area Youth Coalition members tonight helping out, and thank you as well. They often, if you get a chance to talk to them, youth say this so much better than we do, and to really hear what they're experiencing in schools is awesome. And finally, for the thank yous before we get on with the program, I want to say thank you to the HLV staff. We have Brian, who's our youth coordinator over there, and we have Allison over there, and we have Em, who's not able to be with us tonight. And every one of our Prevention All-Stars really acknowledged that, they are able to do the work at the local level because of the support of HLV staff, and so we recognize their dedication as well. So we're going to switch up the order just a tiny bit and give one of our later awards first. They were not in order due to like any particular pattern, but originally I had this one later. Tonight we get to celebrate Gregory Tatro, and it's been a joy to work with Gregory. This is the first prevention honor that we're going to give tonight. Gregory has been awesome. Like he has. If I had to put a name on this, I would call this our megaphone award, because he's really sees the need to connect our work to decision makers and policymakers, and he created this opportunity to have like a town hall forum and then many community conversations, and has invited prevention into the conversation. And when we couldn't make it, I'm sure he was mentioning it to our legislators. And so people who are going to either we may be electing in or may not, they're going to be like, they make a lot of decisions at the state level and national level. And he has been a champion for prevention this year. So Gregory, come on up. We have a small gift for you. Thank you. This is for you. And I should mention the reason that Gregory had to go first tonight is his wife Amy they just had a baby last night. and we wanted to release him to be able to go back. So thank you. And Allison, if you could come up to present our next couple of awards. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, hello and good evening, everyone. This is wonderful to be in person for sure, and to be celebrating prevention in our community and so many people who we've worked with this year. And so I am taking this from Jessica to just jump in and to recognize Casey Romero and the Johnson Skate Park and Pump Track Committee. Come on out. As many of you know who predate me, Casey and Howard and the rest, and anyone else from Johnson representing Johnson in the skate park, right, have really over a long time have been committed to having a space for skating, for biking, and further developing this safe space for young people and people of all ages, and really caring about them. And I know that's what Casey brings to this, and over time, and also keeping it as a safe space and as a space that is a healthy space. And I think that especially this year, after we've been planting seeds and working together for some years now, but making a recommitment to the substance-free space, the tobacco and smoke-free space, so that it's a space where all of our young people can come and feel comfortable and free to be, and all of the efforts over this time of coming to me and saying, Allison, what can we do about this? Can we get signs? Can you know, it's just incredible, Casey. And I know that on a personal level, and I'm emotional, but my family uses the Johnson Skate Park, and we're Morrisville residents. So many of us across the region use this huge resource in our community, and we are so grateful to you for your efforts and how it really connects in deeply with our work in prevention. So congratulations and thank you.
Of course, I thank the partnership for all the patients, the patient help they've provided over the years. But it's too exciting not to say, I have 10,000 more reasons to thank our community partners, which are you guys and also Laraway, in that we were just awarded a $10,000 grant for the next improvement we want to make at the park. And they wanted to know who our community partners were. Voila. So we thank you.
And the next person I want to honor is not able to be here because of a select board meeting, and he's the town manager. So that's hard to get to another meeting, but that's David Opie, who you may know in Hardwick, and he has been an advocate for prevention through his not very long tenure in office, and he has been someone who really cares about youth in the community and the community as a whole, and taken on really trying to understand substance prevention lens for the town over the time. And so we wanted to recognize him and his efforts tonight. So that's to him, and if you know him or see him, please send him some of your wishes. Oh, great. Okay, following along as we are with our Hardwick representation. Steve Fortman, would you come up, please? Wow, Steve Fortman got involved with us a few years back, especially related to our coaches initiative, and Steve's vision and care for young people in the community with deep concern and connection to them, I think, is what drives this. Understanding how much they need protective factors and healthy options in their lives, and being someone who's not only a coach in the community and an active parent and everything, but also an EMT, and thinking about it from all different aspects of the community, is being asked by the town also to help to lead on town initiatives related to substance prevention as well. And on so many levels, we are deeply grateful for our relationship with you as personally, as a coalition, that you are a member of this coalition and you are helping to lead the way. And in particular, the work the past few years with the Coaches Collaborative, and all of your vision on that, in particular, leading us to this wonderful resource that is now being shared, Youth Coaches Building Protective Factors in Our Community, and how much of Steve's voice comes through this. So I encourage everyone to really take a look at this document, share it with all the coaches you know, and Steve has played a huge part in that, and we look forward to the next steps.
Thanks very much for keeping me involved in all this. Like a lot of people, I got involved in coaching because my kids were in sports. I'm 7 years into it, and now I'm in it because it's an impact. We are on the front lines of what's going on with the youth. I realize that more every year that I do it. And I just finished talking to my kids about substances. I usually do it at the end of the season as a coach, and it's a new speech every year. I get a little bit better, but I tell them that substances look interesting in this small world that you're in. You know, your high school, your friends, your small town. But in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty dull. And the dreams that they have, they don't even know all the things that are over the horizon yet. And so this thing looks interesting to them, this thing that's marketed to them now too. And we have to remind them that it's going to get in the way of your dreams, because the dreams that they have are the most important thing that they're going to carry through this community and out of this community. And coaches, you have the opportunity to step in front of them and speak directly about these things and not let that moment pass by, because the next thing you know, they're all grown up. Thanks, Allison.
So grateful. Steve.
Hello, could everyone hear me? Okay. It just didn't sound like it was being amplified. All right. Yes, let's go into the camera. All right. So I'm going to celebrate a few people in the community who did a lot of work, working with Healthy Lamoille Valley and working with the community. And the first individual I would like to recognize is Lisa Wolfgang. She is the former co-director of this building, River Arts, and her collaboration with Healthy Lamoille Valley, and in particular the Live Your Why initiative. So she really took the Live Your Why to the whole next level. So kids were doing it at home, and she, with her vision and her resources, so she led workshops in painting, clay creations, healthy meals, all while building relationships with the students and teaching them important life skills. And then she also did a fabulous printmaking workshop during April break. So it was an at-home camp, and I had a blast with her doing 3 Facebook Live videos for that. And that's on Facebook still. So I really thank her for her dedication to the community and all the work she does. She's not able to be here. So the next person I want to highlight is Sally Gubera. She's the guidance counselor at Craftsberry, who does it all. She's up there for Craftsberry is a K through 12, and she's been able to seize opportunities to educate and engage those students of all ages from all levels, K through 12, about substance prevention through her work. She does a lot with Red Ribbon Week, which is actually coming up next week. So she has tons of activities coming up for the kids of all ages, helping promote our initiatives, the youth resources webpage we have. She helped really promote that, get kids engaged in that. She is always, every time I see a teacher, they're like, oh, I've seen your resource before, because she's put it all over the school. And helping kids participate in whatever activity and whatever we're promoting, she really encourages her students to participate. So I want to thank her, and she's not here to accept the award either. Yeah. All right. And finally, Miss Margot Warden, please come up. Well, thank you. All right. So it is not easy starting as an SAP, student assistant counselor, as they call them, during a pandemic. Her first day was right in the middle of it, and she's for the middle and high school, people's middle and high school level, but she was able to make such an impact on that community. And just her work with us has just been phenomenal. Behind her easy to talk to demeanor is a passion for prevention and youth empowerment. She has poured so much of that passion and energy into developing her work with youth, including the Vermont Kids Against Tobacco group, as well as all the other youth leadership groups that you're working and continuing to develop there. And she's seen as this trusted, knowledgeable person in the community, and you can tell because youth just resonate with her. They're always going to see her. They talk openly with her about vaping and anything. She's just that person you can open up to. And so she's just want to thank her for being such an enthusiastic collaborator with us, always excited to share our resources and initiatives with the students and the staff. So thank you for your dedication and your support.
Oh, for the record. Oh, hello. So, so starting at PA and PA-ML in the middle of a pandemic was rather daunting. And I didn't think I'd actually be starting a year 3 there, but I got drawn in, and it's just so incredibly important. But I really wouldn't be in year 2 or 3 without the collaboration and the support and the generosity of everybody at HLV. You helped me find my legs, helped me find my way, and you continue to support and inspire me every day. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we will get to some other awards later, but now I want to introduce and honor Dr. Linda Caldwell. Linda, my colleague, one of my mentors for, we couldn't figure out how many years, 15, 18, who knows, from when I was working on my doctoral work. But to have Linda here and to know her boundless efforts over her career, and she's retired. She's come out of her retirement to really be consulting with us, with thanks to Roessner Family Foundation grants and the amazing work that we're doing together here. But over her career of of focusing in on the concepts of how people use their time and how they can use it to a way that's good for them and good for others, and how important it is in positive youth development. She's inspiring, and it is amazing what she's also given our community locally here. The amount of hours above and beyond just whatever it takes to make sure that we were doing what we could in our community related to her work on the TimeWise curriculum and her work over her entire career. I am just so grateful to have Linda in our community, being able to share it with everybody here, and to honor you, Linda, with an HLV Prevention Honor. And here we go. And to call Linda up to bring her wisdom to us.
Okay, while that is coming up, I am so inspired, and I mean this sincerely, by what HLV does and the All-Stars and hearing all the work that does. I've had the privilege of working with Allison and Jessica and Brian lately, wherever Brian is, for about 3 years. And it's really thanks to the Roessner Family Foundation, which has been so supportive. And what's wonderful is people understand how important this thing called leisure or free time or recreation or whatever you want to call it is. So they asked me to say a few words about how I got here, and well, not here, I flew here, but how we got to do the TimeWise. So I am passionate about this thing called recreation leisure because when I was a kid, I was brought up that way in many ways. But it morphed into something that I became interested in, youth development, and youth development in conjunction with healthy use of leisure. And I want to show you why. And the reason I want to show you why, because this speaks to you guys how important you are. So I started this I was a good hippie in 1969, and that was about 9th and 10th grade. And I was a really good student, but I hung with a lot of not so good students and who were, maybe misfits. And back then, kids were really misfits back then. This was, as you know, a whole different time. So I used to go to the thing called the coffee house, which, believe me, didn't have coffee. And it was this little YWCA down there. And I'm showing you this because this woman, Hildy Aspen, was the person who said, these young kids have something to offer. Even though nobody else does, they're long hair, they play music, they have something to offer. And she turned around so many lives. And she did leadership development kinds of things too. So I really benefited from early mentorship. I didn't even know what was going on. I was a kid, But look at this. We had a 40th and 45th reunion, the coffee house people. Yeah, right? And Hildy was there, and somebody just wrote and said, Hildy was downtown Pittsburgh dancing away. I mean, she must be 90 years old now, I don't know. But think about the impact you're making on kids way out in the future. And they may not get together as the coffee house and play music, but that is so inspiring to me. And so she brought to me this passion for, okay, youth development. I didn't recognize it then, but then I went into school. What's next? Okay, I went to school and I studied recreation. I am the proud owner of 3 degrees in recreation and leisure studies. People say, oh, that must be fun. And it's like, well, there's a lot of hard work and it's been a lot of hard work. But yeah, what we do is so important, so important. And it sort of came from there. So when I was in graduate school, I worked my way through recreation resources and therapeutic recreation. And I came to understand, wow, why are kids, back to my days in the coffee house, why are kids so bored in their free time? What is that even about? It's supposed to be fun, right? It's supposed to be good. And then I studied more, and we did some research, and we sort of connected some dots. We identified dots and connected dots about boredom and motivation and competence and opportunity. And so that's what got me started on this. And so that's a very short story about how how I got to this, but I want to make a couple more points. One, and people can argue about this statistic, that's fine. People have estimated, they've done time diary studies, big national database time diary studies, that estimates about 40% of most kids, not all kids and non-working kids, about 40% of their day is free time. Okay, that's not leisure time necessarily, but it's free. What do kids do in that time? You know, it doesn't come naturally, and the coaches and the people who are in the community, you know that it doesn't come naturally. Kids need some guidance. They need some people to do skill development, right? And so that's also what got me really interested in it. And as I was going, here, I just added this. We don't want kids to be on the bottom left corner, right? Just on their screens all of the time. This is more current. We want kids to be active because I want to make the point just quickly. It's not just doing the activity. It's not the art or the sport or the recreation or whatever. Those are developmental opportunities because leisure is considered by many people the fourth developmental opportunity among home, work, and school, right? But a lot of people don't realize what happens during a recreation or leisure activity, what the developmental aspects are. So you learn how to relate to people, you learn competence, you learn emotional regulation. I mean, I could go on and on. It really contributes to identity development. You know, kids who aren't good in school, every kid who can find a passion or a hobby, that contributes to identity development, who I am, what skills can I develop. So I just want to make the point that it's not just what they do in their time, but it contributes greatly to development. I'm just going to go through this real quick. This always, the educators here will resonate with this. John Dewey was born in Burlington, Vermont, and he got his degree at University of Vermont, his undergraduate degree. And he was part of a group that was really concerned with education and did the 7 principles of higher education. And the worthy use of leisure was one, because he recognized how important this free time block was. And it wasn't just time use. He was a sort of a father of experiential education, that you have to get something out of what you're doing. You just can't just do it. Okay, so quickly on our friend John Dewey. So all of that led me to think about leisure as prevention. And this was when prevention was just new. And so there are good prevention programs going on. I read a lot of articles that said, well, kids need leisure education. They don't know what to do. They're getting into trouble or whatever. They need leisure education. Well, but nobody did leisure education. Okay, so I thought, I don't know why I thought I could do this, but I did. And so I said, okay, let's develop a leisure education program to build skills, to contribute to youth development. And then we developed a substance abuse prevention program that was funded by NIDA that was based on leisure education. It's called TimeWise. And that's why, again, I'm here. And I was thrilled that the National Institute on Drug Abuse gave me a 3-year funding to develop and study the TimeWise program. And then we developed it into HealthWise, which is in South Africa. And the point I want to make, and then I'm going to stop because I know we have to keep moving on, is that we did these programs in central Pennsylvania where kids basically lived in rural areas. About 70+% got free and reduced lunches. We were in South Africa, where we were in townships. And one of the first things I had to ask was, leisure, they call it leisure. Is leisure even important? I'm not going to start doing, I was invited to bring TimeWise there. I wouldn't ever presume to say, I'm going to do this for you. I was invited. But I said, I don't know. Here, look at these kids in these township of post-apartheid areas. But I was convinced that, yes, that was really important. They needed something. So these kids were it would actually, sometimes I would sit there and just get tears in my eyes because the kids would say, nobody ever talked to me about how I feel. Nobody ever did this for me. And we just felt like we were really contributing to substance use. And this was sexual risk prevention too. So we added, sorry, I'm in the way. That bottom thing says sport and recreation. It's what you do that puts you at risk, and HIV, AIDS. So anyhow, that was whiplash, right? But that's sort of how this all developed, and just making the point of how incredibly important it is and how wonderful that the Roessner Family Foundation and HLV understands this and is trying to bring it into the community. And with Allison, who is Miss Leisure Education, I mean, she's Dr. Leisure Education, you know, she's done a great job. So I want to thank all of you who have contributed and participated. You might appreciate this. I love Nelson Mandela. And here, when he was in prison, I just thought this is really lovely how he found solace in recreation, even in a place where we would think, no, that doesn't happen, or even in the townships, or even in the areas here where you think, well, and who's it for? Well, it's for everybody. We don't teach skills. We don't teach them youth to do an activity. We teach them how to find it and how to build it, because we don't know what's there available in their own communities. All right. I don't want to keep going on. Oh, there's my friends. We always have fun. We always have fun, my colleagues in South Africa, because you have to have fun. So we get together and we always have fun together, as well as work really hard. So the idea of today, besides just giving you a little idea of what TimeWise and HealthWise and recreation and leisure and all of that is to have youth do a little bit thinking about your own lives, because we all have to model and we all have to understand ourselves. So we're going to do a brief, like 15-minute activity that gets you up and moving, because you're totally bored now. I know, I study boredom, so no. And then we're going to end with a community, talking about community and leisure and recreation needs in the community, and then continue with the awards. I'm actually going to do about 10 minutes for this part right now. 10 minutes for this part. Do you want to do find a partner, or do you want to do the circle? Let's find a partner. Okay. So we've been back and forth on how to do this, and we have a couple questions for you that everybody gets 1 minute to answer the question, and then you move on to another person, or you can stay with whomever you are. It's fine. This is just to get you thinking about yourself. So the first question is, in my free or leisure time, I wish ... I heard that, right? I mean, that sounds simple and easy, but think about you. In my free or leisure time, I wish. The next question is, if I had 2 hours a day to do anything that I wanted to do, what would I do? The last question, what personal benefits do you get from doing what you do in your free or leisure time? This is what we do with the kids, is we want them to identify what are the benefits that you get. And if you don't have enough benefits, or you only have one type of benefit like physical, then you got to find some other ways to bring other benefits in it. So you think about yourself, what benefits you think you get presently out of your free and leisure time. As we do in Live Your Why or TimeWise, we always give the opportunity for people who are participating to walk away with maybe a goal or something that they want to do. So now is your turn. And think about a goal for yourself around your free time, around your leisure time, how you use it, what you get out of it. And you can write that down and take it with you. I know this is quick, but we wanted to shift gears now and move to the community and having you think about this material in relationship to your own community, okay? And we were in a meeting earlier today with Jessica, and she shared a quote that she heard, and I would like to have that be our sort of prompt. And this is from Desmond Tutu. The quote is, "There comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in." Really nice, right? Prevention. And if I was talking to Dr. Tutu, I would say, and I think we need to help them find out how to prevent them from falling in, right at the beginning. Not just identify the factors, but prevent them from falling in. So I think as a society, we've done a pretty good job of thinking about the factors that might contribute to falling in or even drowning, perhaps. But I don't think we've done a very good job as a society of preventing it from happening. And that's why preventing this, and that's where I was going to go next. You knew it. Okay. Come on up here.
So I was right. I know. I'm so genteel. So I was looking at this data about young people that feel like they matter in their community, and of high schoolers in the last youth risk behavior survey. It was like only 56 or 57% felt like they mattered in their community. And there were like a chunk that said, I don't know if I matter, and a whole other chunk that said, I don't think I do matter. And an even lower percentage of LGBTQ youth that felt that they mattered. And so I think that there's very simple things we can do by letting young people know that they matter and having conversations and making them strength-based conversations. I spent so long doing prevention, focusing on risks, and I think what HLV taught me, Jessica and Allison and Brian and everyone, is that we need to go further upstream, and we need to focus on building all of those skills, all those social, emotional skills and all that is even before, instead of just preventing the risk. So thank you. It's just really timely. It's very time-wise, right?
Yeah, thank you for that. And the reason that I love the topic of recreation and leisure is because it is promotion, and it's prevention as promotion. And so it's the positive thing. It's not just always focusing on the risky kinds of things. And that resonates with kids' lives because 40% or whatever. So I think focusing on those strength-based things, and we can do that. We can do that.
Well, I like to get involved at the policy level. Shout out to Allison, wherever she is. Because I read the minutes of the planning committee, and I read the minutes. I'm one of those people, in my town. So especially when we've been having conversations about cannabis, and we have to set the zoning regulations, and we have to talk about buffer zones, and I care about that stuff. Somebody, has to care about that stuff. And there are, I'm a parent in my community, and, anybody can go onto your town's website and just dig into the minutes, because there are folks out there that are setting policy, and these are your towns, and you can get involved too, just like I do, to make changes that protect kids.
This is more of a question for you. I'm a little bit curious. So in studying coaching, I've been studying Doc Rivers from the Boston Celtics, and he's borrowed this concept from South Africa called Ubuntu. And I'm just wondering what your experiences were with that overseas, because I'm trying to integrate that into youth coaching.
Steve, can you explain what that is just a little bit for those of us who don't know?
It's a philosophy. It's a life philosophy that's not just South Africa. It's kind of the southern region of Africa. It's in a few different countries down there. Bishop Desmond Tutu and Mandela, they based a lot of the post-apartheid recovery in this concept. And it's I think the main statement is, I am because we are. So you only exist because of these connections with other people. So in a sports context, it has kind of a teamwork aspect to it, that the players, their individual actions are meaningless without everybody else involved in it. So you score, it doesn't matter if no one's there, if your teammates aren't there, then you don't exist. So it's more complex than that, but it has as a philosophy, it can have a substance prevention aspect to it.
Yeah, it's it's very, very popular, and you see it all over the place in a lot of parts of at least southern Africa. We've never used it. It's sometimes it's a throwaway term. Sometimes just because it's so used, but it's still very meaningful. And the philosophy is a very good one. They have been a very collectivist society, which has prompted that kind of thinking, but they're definitely moving more individualistic to a degree. We started there basically real close to when apartheid ended and Mandela was out of jail, and there was such an amazing happiness and a lot of reconciliation, and people got along, and there was a lot of that Ubuntu kind of thing. Over the years, it's been breaking my heart to see the racism that is growing again, and it's very strong, and a lot of it's black on colored, what used to be colored mixed race, and it's just so I haven't been there in 3 years, so I can't answer from being on the ground. So that's not a very helpful answer, but oh.
I'm one of the ministers here in Morrisville. As far as I know, I'm the only. And some of you have probably seen me standing in front of the post office and do so. I try to talk to young people when I see them, to try to encourage them to go in the right direction, and most of all to pray. And I found that a lot of young people just hold things in. They don't really know how to bring out what they're feeling, or they feel like maybe I won't be believed, or someone just say, you know what, just do something else. So I'm finding that I do a lot of praying and try to encourage people. And the only reason I'm in Morrisville because it's where God said come, so He knew what the need was. So I try to help where I can.
Thank you.
And I would say that we also need to focus on a multi-generational approach, making sure that families, children are in homes where their basic needs are being met, where their parents, whatever that family looks like and how it's comprised, that they know they can take care of themselves, their children, they feel accepted and welcome, and having those conversations, but creating programs and policies that back up the phrase, you're important and you're worthy. We need to back that up.
Thank you.
with our enhancement of the TimeWise curriculum and the work that we're doing to really move forward with it to meet the current times and to work together within the community and the feedback from the community, we created, and you can get after the presentations, we created like also a parent guide, parent caregiver guide, parent grandparent caregiver guide that goes along with it about like how do we all spend our time, right? Like it's so important for each person at any age, all of us, and what are we modeling for anyone around us in our community, in our families, for the youth in our community, those we love, those are connected to us. So I think that that is so important, and to build on that as we move forward is such a wonderful addition to the conversation. Thank you. To Katie, yeah. Okay.
Hi. I sort of forgot what the question was. But I'm lucky to talk with teens every day in my office, and I thought it would be helpful maybe to recognize that so I'm very into strength-based counseling, and I'm very into coaching in my free time. It might be interesting just trying to identify teens that might be at higher risk as upstream as possible, due to their either traumas or experiences or life events. And so we've instituted some better sort of full spectrum and, global-ish screening forms that teens fill out in confidence, anyone over age 12. So it's something we have had sort of informally, and we're making it much more formal and much more comprehensive. So it's a little bit more black and white, and it's a little bit more risk focused, as Michelle and I have talked a lot about sort of moving towards more protective conversations. But I think it's actually really important to sort of identify those kids as early as possible so that we aren't, at the end of the river, because we have plenty of kids also in crisis.
Thank you all for sharing. I always love when we have opportunities to hear from the voices in the room. And so I'm going to hand it back to Linda.
Thanks. Well, I'm going to say thank you. And this was enlightening to me. And I hope you're carrying at least some nuggets away from you, or it made you think about some things. Again, I want to thank the Roessner Family Foundation very much. And again, all of you for what you do. I know that it's really, really important. Think of Hildy Aspen, who, had an enormous impact on people's lives. And she didn't even know it at the time. I mean, she probably thought about it, but she probably didn't even know it. So thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's just been wonderful. And I will turn it over.
Thank you so much, Linda. So we have 2 more awards tonight, and then we will send you on your way. And this is, it's been a joy and an honor to work with all of our Prevention Honorees. Our next one is Catherine Crowley, so come on up. So thank you for being here tonight. Catherine has been an active member of Healthy Lamoille Valley since 2018. I got the joy to travel to DC with her and get stranded in a snowstorm. So bummer, we had beautiful weather in DC and got to spend an extra day down there, but Vermont Airport was snowed in. We had 5 youth with us, and she was just amazing. She even got us back into the Library Congress floor. So if you ever need to go to DC with somebody, Catherine's a great person. But more importantly, what she just said about policy and having somebody in our community who's paying attention, and we wish we could clone Catherine, because she really does pay attention to what's happening at the community level. And she speaks up. And, when a voice is needed, she's willing to either be that voice or rally voices. She calls us in and says, we need this resource. Can you get us data about this? So we are able to actually support communities and towns when we have people like you, Catherine, to do that. She was the chair of the steering team for a while, and then accepted a new position and had to step down from that. And she just is so awesome about being a voice in the community and with their students. And so thank you for your involvement over these 3 years. So, did you want to say anything? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And so that brings us to our final award of the evening. Michelle, can you come up, please? So. And for those of you who don't know Michelle, you need to get to know her. She worked serving the Lamoille Valley for 24 years. And she still serves us, but in a slightly different way. She's now at the state level working for adolescent health and wellness. But she was our prevention consultant. And when she first came here, there was very little happening. I think there was a small coalition, a few people. There was not a room full of people. I don't think there was a recovery center at the time when you first came. And so Michelle has just been so foundational to the work in our region. She's often outspoken and willing to like keep at an idea. And Daniel's laughing over there. And she has been just such a like resource. And honestly, like now that you're not in that role, I find myself 2 or 3 times a week thinking, oh, I wonder what Michelle would think about this. Or, oh, Michelle, I should totally bounce this idea. I did send her an email this week with something. I was like, you got to see this. This is so exciting, but Michelle, I could go on all evening, but we really just want to express our gratitude to you. So first, stay there for a moment. Okay. So I'll give you that and this. And I want to make another announcement because we decided Michelle was so awesome that we needed to name one of our prevention awards after her. So going forth, we will have, during our annual awards ceremony, we will have the Michelle Salvador Prevention All-Star Award for just one person that's just been outstanding and has advanced the work. So.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You know, when I started this job 24 years ago, there was nothing going on. There was one SAP who had just started at Lamoille North the same day, came up from Louisiana. And we were like, there is nothing going on here, right? Prevention-wise, there wasn't. No one was talking about it. Except for Ed Baker, who was a treatment provider. And Ed and I would meet at that little tiny cafe in town that was like really skinny and get a coffee and a muffin and talk about all the problems of the Lamoille, all the risks of the Lamoille Valley. But there was this saying I saw, and I stuck it on my cork board, and I'm totally going to mess it up, but it was still on the cork board the day I left with about 500 pinhole pricks in it from hanging pictures of my son over top of it. But it was like a Chinese proverb, and it said something about like, go to the people, live among them, learn from them, all this. And like, your work is done when the people can say, look at what we've done, And so I feel like, I feel a little shy to be honored like this, quite frankly, because all I did was kind of push people along and support people, and really all of you and Healthy Lamoille Valley and all the aspects of the coalition. Lori Burnham was one of the coalition coordinators over the year, really did all the work. And it was just, I miss all you guys. But I'm also like, felt like I could go now, I could leave because Jessica and Allison and Brian and everyone really like they get it, and the whole valley is in such great hands prevention wise. And like I was saying earlier, I learned so much from you, all that I kept teaching you about risk factors, and it finally dawned on me that risk factors just wasn't enough, that all the work you have been doing here on building strengths and protective factors, and that kind of became the work I wanted to do next in my career. So I'm doing that now at the health department, and I'm like, okay, TimeWise, I got to find out some more about this, and call anytime. I miss all of you, and thank you so much. I'm so honored. Thank you.
So that concludes our evening. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, and carry this with you, and talk to others about it. Who's not here that you want to tell something to or share something with, and you each have your orbit. So go and make a difference. And thank you for being here. So.